by liking, sharing, and following us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also catch our episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeart, and many more. So wherever you're streaming, we're there. This podcast wouldn't be possible without our amazing producers behind the scenes, Fui Patello and Eileen Tumalu, who are live with us in the comments. So don't be shy, drop a line, send a shout out, and let us keep that energy flowing throughout the show. I'm your host, Leaso Piloili, coming to you live from Katy, Texas. And today we are thrilled to welcome a new voice to our hosting team, the one and only Arlington. We're excited to have you join the Pulse of Polynesia family. And of course, we want to send a heartfelt shout out to our sister, Lena, who's stepping away for a bit as she prepares for her Malu in the coming weeks. Lena, we love you. We miss you already. And we are lifting you up with so much pride and support on this beautiful journey ahead. Now, let's talk about today's guest. Someone who truly embodies resilience, reflection, and real healing. She's a proud alumni of Leone High School, class of 1998, and a dedicated mother of two, and a California-based warrior woman whose life has taken her through incredible highs and unimaginable lows. But throughout it all, she's chosen growth, grace, and self-care. Her story is a powerful reminder that even in our hardest chapter, we can still rise. Please welcome to the hot seat, Nyla. What's up? What's up? Welcome, Nyla.
Thank you.
Talofa.
Talofa.
Well, first of all, Arlington, also welcome to Pulse of Polynesia. So excited to have you as one of our guests.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a great feeling to join the crew. I really appreciate all the work you guys do. So yeah, feels good to be part of the team, and hopefully I can fill those shoes that Lena had left. So it's a tall order, but we'll see.
Nyla, also welcome to the hot
Thank
seat.
you so much. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here and joining you guys live on Pulse of Polynesia. Thank you for the opportunity. Me ka kako whairai o awanua le au maua. Ia le wa maua le awanua whaaftaite le lava.
First of all, Nyla, what brought you all the way from American Samoa to California?
Oh my. I left American Samoa when I was 24. Yeah, 24. My dad was diagnosed with lung cancer back home, and then we were actually seeking second opinions. So although my mom was a registered nurse in American Samoa for many, many years, about 20 years before we left Samoa. And although she know that it's not going to help, and because it's a stage 4, she still wanted to bring him here because this is where his family is at, here in Monterey, California. So yes, that's what brought me here into the beautiful Monterey, all out here in California. And then I've been living here ever since then for approximately like about 20 years, going on 21 years.
Yeah, Monterey, beautiful place. Yeah.
Yes,
Nyla,
it is. The weather is beautiful.
before that journey where you brought your dad to California, you were in American Samoa for quite a while.
Yes, for 24 years. Yes, I was born and raised there for 24 years. And I think I felt like I was the only classmate back then back home that was still stuck with parents back home. But somebody has to carry on that duty of being the super child who takes care of mommy and daddy and still be under mommy and daddy's roof. Yes, I was. And before I left American Samoa as well, I was working at Samoa Motors in Tafuna. It was a Leala business then in Samoa. So yes, I was in Samoa all my life until now. I'm here.
What child are you? How many siblings do you have?
So there is actually 3 of us. I have 2 oldest brothers that I grew up with, and many more of the cousins and all that you always call them your brothers and your sisters, right?
Mhm.
There is no such thing as first cousin, second cousin, kasingi, or all of that in Samoa. You know, everybody is a brother and a sister, even if you're raised under the same roof. But as for me and my siblings, there's actually 3 of us, and then I'm the the baby of the family. So yes, I was that little girl that was dragged around and the one that has to carry on the duties of being there for the parents, for mommy and daddy. And I was the one who was Zulu, was always been Fuki, and the back always getting hit. Yes, I got them all. Yeah.
You're also alumni of Leone High School. How was that journey for you? All 4 years compared to your
All
siblings.
four
I recall
years.
they didn't attend Leone High School.
All 4 years. Wow. What can I say? On my 4 years in Leone, I think out of all my schooling years and whatnot, those are like the best years ever of my life. It's just because you're still in that fun moment. You know, you go to college and then everything started being serious. But high school was so fun. I don't know if you guys remember, but you know how we always have those crazy and bomb kind of
So
activities that we have throughout
pep
the year.
rallies, yeah.
When it's Halloween and the pep rallies and all of that, you name it, you got it, right? So those are very fun. Those are like the craziest fun moments that I've had in my life in Leone. No regrets whatsoever. A lot of people that, like a lot of kids now, every now and then, like, my nieces and my nephews, I always try to tell them, I know it's not like in Samoa, but you have to enjoy these moments of your life because this is the only time that you can bring yourself out. Your high school, once you're done with high school, is all serious after that. You won't have this fun no more. You won't be, pep rallying out anymore, or being that one person that you raise up your hand and say, oh, I'm going to go and become this character for this Halloween, whatever activity or whatnot. But yes, those are the best moments to live for. If I could turn back the hands of time, I think I'm going to go back and relive all the fun moments that we have in high school, from pep rallies to long nights of long nights of trying to prep up for the next day for fun and all of that.
Who's your favorite Samoan teacher?
Oh, definitely not Tupe. But I think my all-time favorite, I have so many favorite, but if I could recall, his name is Mr. Hansen. He was a science teacher. If you guys would remember him, right? Is it Hansen or Hansel, if I'm
Hansel,
correct?
yeah. You talk about not Ripley, but you talk about the Palangi guy, right?
Not really Palangi, but it's kind of like he's really Samoan, but he has an accent too. I think it's Mr. Hansel, if I'm correct. He's a science teacher there
I know who you're talking about, though.
in
Yeah.
Samoa. So yeah. So
Yeah, I don't recall him. He must have came later on.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
probably did, but that was actually my all-time favorite one. It's not because of any other reason. I think when I reached my senior year, all my credits were catched up, and then I needed a class to take just to not Eva, but just to take to kill my time there at in Leone, and that was one of the classes that was offered to me or was given to me, was that specialized science class, and that specialized science class was actually science projects. So
Can,
you
can
have to
you,
prepare your science projects for.
sorry, can you walk us through like your siblings? Did you follow their footsteps? Like, where did they go to school, and how did you choose where you want to go to high school?
Of course. Um, my two brothers both graduated from Samoana. My dad, I know, Samoana Sharks. I don't recall the years, but I think it was probably around a 92 and a 93, if I'm
Mm.
correct. I graduated from Leone, but because our parents, my mom's family is from Taptimu, and also and my dad is from Fanga'alu. So we have two homes. We have a Fanga'alu home and then a Taptimu home to run to. So I think that's where it kind of have that drift. And then my brothers were always raised on my dad's side of the family, and with me was always with my mom's side of the family. So I think that's where it is. But all in all, yeah, they're much older than me. And did I follow their footsteps? I think so, and somehow, somewhat. Where the oldest now lives in Arizona, and the second youngest one now lives over here in California with me. So I think, yeah, pretty much. I hope so.
Yeah, I was referring to like your choice of where to go to high school, right? You didn't follow your brothers, but you chose to go to Leone. Why?
There was actually no any money more of which high school to go to. I think what I really the high school that I really wanted to attend was Fasao, but
Mm.
mommy said no. And mommy had her reasons, was because she says, the teachers there are not the same as how it was before. So then I didn't have much of a choice but to attend Leone High School. And that's just because it was easier for me just to come from Chaptimu and then just take that walk down to Leone versus catching a bus. To and from. So, the boys were boys, they were able to take that route of catching the bus from home to their schools. But no, there was not really any kind of any money more of which school for them to tell me to go to. It
Yeah,
was just, then I
we're
just
we're
chose where.
we're we're not biased over here, but we think you made the right choice. So great choice.
Once the
Definitely.
line up is lined, right?
Yeah. So
So,
we're glad you chose the right school. So
Nyla, I have to ask, so while you were in high school, right? I know that we've come across some of the life experience of, going through some trouble and life lessons. And what were some of the life lessons that you've learned while you were 4 years in Leone High School?
One of the life lessons I've learned being in Leone High School is to be yourself. Be
Mm.
yourself. I was one of those kids who is on the yearbook standouts, and they're not really good.
Oh,
Being the biggest kid on your freshman year and the class crook on your sophomore year, but that was me being myself. So be yourself. I think that's one of the most something that I've gained from Leone High School is just being myself. Yes, I fit it out and ask everybody, hey, so sitting nga. Nga rula yes skipi umalay nga kami kiray huli lay nga school lunch. But you have to be yourself. That's how you're gonna enjoy life and move forward. It's just you just have to be yourself. And Leone gave me the opportunity, but at the same time, I know where the buttons are at, you know? So if I'm being myself, I have to be myself in a very good way and not overdo it to a way that you're going to end up in the office and open the bowl and there you goes with the 4x4 that given by Mickey, right? So, yes, so be yourself, be yourself. And Leone gave me that opportunity of being myself and enjoying it throughout the whole time that I was there.
did you give
we
your
have
mom
a
or dad a hard time? And during those times, was it your mom or dad? Sorry, Arlington.
oh no, go ahead.
I gave my mom the hardest time. I think I got my first fight my freshman year, and I was already a student government. And then you know how that is by law of the SGA of the student government. Once you get into a fight, you're out completely, right? And then I remember my counselor at that moment, my advisor was Noah, and oh my world, he was so mad. But yeah, I gave my mom the hardest time, and I think ever since that, I've never done it anymore. It was I started to try to be a good girl, but yes, I've gave my mom a lot of hard times, meaning moments where I have to tell them I have to stay late at school for completing projects and stuff like that. It was like, those heart attack when the girls don't come home early, you know, at home and all of that. Yes, it was my mom, never my dad.
Oh.
I just wanted to go through. We have a couple comments here online. They're all shout outs. So yeah, two from Oklahoma and then one from San Francisco, Fanga. This is Talofa from San Francisco. So you got a couple shout outs here.
Yeah, Fanga is actually my classmate from '98, and she's up here in San Francisco. And then probably over there in Oklahoma is probably Sister Ella. I'm viping out. Thank you guys.
Hey, Arlington, your field and your neck of the woods in Oklahoma.
Yeah, some of the family members on there. So they're some of them didn't want to like do a segue here, but my dad lives with my sister, so they're always excited to hear his former students on. So they're kind of dad's probably watching with them right now. So
Thank you for the A in the class.
Right? Mr. New. Mhm.
So Nyla, I have to ask, your mom she worked for in the ICU in Samoa, right, during that time.
During that time.
And
Um,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
How was that having to deal with your mother working in the ICU? It's a very tough job, and there's a lot of pressure that goes with that. So, I mean, imagine having to come home and deal with a daughter who got into fight freshman year, and then you had to change, you know. So, how was that having to deal with your mom working a very tough job at the hospital?
You know, my mom made me change the way I feel about healthcare. Not in a bad way or not in a good way either, but it made me because I think before graduating from high school, that's what she wanted me to become a nurse, right? But growing up and seeing my mom constantly at work at all hours of the day and the night, and I'm on like, I need you to be here for this performance. I need you to come here and go and see my progress reports. You know, my mom was absent, but that's when we were kids. We don't know those kind of things. We always think so highly of ourselves, but she did her job, meaning she worked to be able to give me the things that I needed, right? That we think so little of in those days. Some of us, we rather see our parents coming through with so many things, but if she has to be present for the main events as like graduations and those special moments, yes. If I have to call her up and say, Mom, I need this to be done right now, yes, it will always be a yes. So now that I'm in her shoes, now I'm grown. I have my kids. Now I know why all those hard moments of hard work was, and not being able to be available for majority of things that I needed her to be there for. But I'm thankful because it actually opened up my eyes that this is how it really is. Um, the hard knock life, right? Being that grown up that you have to support and everything. So it was hard. It was hard. I think that at the same time, I was so happy that she was always at work so I can be home alone on the phone or whatnot, or, 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 or then everything is going to be a yes to go because she's not home. Or I don't have to worry about asking for money because I know she will have it at all times because she's working. Versus ingay nisi ko kilo kako because of the way lisoy fuangay Samoa, it's hard. So yeah, but just because I'm the only girl, no, I wasn't spoiled. I got the beatings too, and all of that. Very much, pretty much.
Yeah, you mentioned that relationship with your mom, and just curious, since you spend seems like 20 some years here in the States, have those discipline values that your mom gave to you have that changed the way approach your motherhood, like as a parent?
Yes, it has a lot. I think that was a lot of the learning lessons along the way. So now that I have kids of my own, I work hard for them because mommy was always the one who was doing it the most too. Um, all those upbringings was worth it. All the sasa and the fussy was so very worth it. Do I try to do the same thing so that my kids will walk the same walk? Maybe some, but not all of it. You know, but yes. Do I regret any of those? Not at all. I think I've lived a good life, and I am very thankful for everything that she has done for me, and giving me this life that I have right now. Um, Day by day, one day at a time, right?
Yeah, that's good to hear. Like, for someone that's similar in your shoes, it seems like the way I raised my daughter, it's not the typical Fasam way. I don't think I've ever used a belt or anything on my daughter, and just to see that she's still able to, have that discipline. Yeah, ele fue. So, not to say that the
Mhm.
Samoan ways are wrong because we all been through it, but I appreciate you sharing those sensitive moments with us. I'm going to jump back online here for a second. We got a couple of folks here. Let's see. I hope I don't butcher your name, Eustacia. And it says here, not me trying to read the subtitles while at work. Hello, my beautiful sisters, and talofa, everyone.
Talofa.
Uh, we got a shout out from Vegas. And then we have Fui Fui says, hello, sis. And Lily, hello, family. So that's what we have.
Nyla, I like to jump into the conversation about your father and condolences. I'm sorry to hear that you lost both of your parents. And so how did it feel? When did you guys find out that your dad was diagnosed with cancer? Was it in America Samoa, or did you guys have to take him off island first?
American Samoa. Didn't take that long to find out. Um, I think only like for a week that he was there, and then maybe for 2 whole weeks until my brother flew down, and then we packed everything and came here for a second opinion. We arrived in San Francisco on August 11th, and then we couldn't bring him down here to Monterey where we're at,
Why?
just because he needed to be admitted right away, and he needed to be in the hospital right away.
Oh,
So then we just the ambulance came, and we took him straight from the San Francisco airport to the nearest San Francisco hospital there, and then on the 13th he passed away. So the 11th we got here,
Talofa.
and then the 13th he passed away. Yeah. So I felt like at those kind of moments, you still have that one parent still there, right? So it wasn't really pretty heavy for me, but I know it was so heavy for my brothers. But I think as I go through that process, I think because I know that my mom was still here, and I find that comfort in her, that knowingly that I still have a parent left, to be able to run to and go to. Um, that's it so far. So yes, so ever since then, we're still here and I'm still here, and haven't left California or anywhere else during this movement as we relocated here in California.
We have
Thanks
a
for.
question for you. Go
Yeah, we
ahead.
got several questions here coming off online. So we have one from Janet. She says, well, what are some of the examples of your upbringing that you implement with your parenting skills?
So some of those upbringing was knowing what's right and wrong, knowing how to make the right decisions and choices about things, knowing how to pick the correct friends and not the other kind of friends where it's just going to be taking you to other worlds that you're not supposed to be in. Those are the upbringing that I was raised to, and being able to attend um, your spiritual life as well, going to the Sunday school, going to your choir practices, going to your youth practice, and all of that. So both the spiritual and your other physical daily kind of life living, those were the upbringings I was that my parents gave me. and then also to know your values and your culture, to be there for your families in time of in need, the time of falavilaves, and a whole lot more. Above all these other things, on top of all these things, you must also have your respect and your love for whoever that comes around you. And those are the most important things that I've carried with myself right now, is that respect, and above all is love. To love one another, to love somebody who's in need and whatnot.
Uh, Very beautifully said. I want to touch on something that's covered. And if you notice, if you watch a lot of Pulse of Polynesia, the very controversial topic has always been our culture. So I kind of want to lean on that area. So from the cultural standpoint, what you've been brought up in Samoa, those values, so what are those challenges that you find difficult to continue to practice, from here in the stateside?
Um, Here in the stateside, it's so hard to have the culture here in the state, and this is why I say this. It's because in Samoa, we can do falavelavas in Samoa because we have no other things to, not as much as how it is over here. Over here, we have to pay rent, and it, depending on the state that you are and the cost of living and everything, you have to work very hard for it. To even spare a little money on a side for a falavelave, it's even harder here in America, because I was always brought up with this one thing that my mom would always tell me: your family first. You do your family first. You make sure you pay the bills for the rent for the house, you pay the utilities, pay everything, and then everything else will just come as it goes. Meaning, oleale me wo e mafaya. Whatever you are able to afford to give for those falavilaves and everything that comes along the way, it is what it is, and that's all you can. And at least you're giving it with your whole heart, instead of trying to meet up to that 500 or 300 that the Matai is telling you to bring, and you can't do it. Right. And I think that that's one of the things that we're missing out here, is that I think, well, I don't know about other families, but afangiyao lai e o wat me foi na ele, you have to give in what they're telling you to give. Instead of leaving it up to you, you bring whatever you can, and whatever you can is much more appreciated than me asking you to give in this amount of money, and then yet olai oilo aingam oilo fangag. So I that's how I'm rolling here in America. I give what I can, and it is what it is. If you're going to ask me for 500 and I come to you and I give you my kusanga as 100, I am so very sorry, but my family is important too. I'm going to give you all of this, and then next month my family's going to be out the door. Yeah, it is what it is. It's pretty hard, but versus in Samoa, the cost of living in Mawalalo, but then yet it get it for na ko pili pa yo ka ko ngi. Think cost of in America. Rent is expensive. Everything over here is all money, 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 money. And to even try to, and then most of us that are out here in America, it's so hard to even spare a little change to help out for a falavilavi. But we try. I hope that answers the question.
No, yeah, you've answered it beautifully, and it looks like you've triggered some questions online as well. So
Wait,
if you give me a
wait,
second while someone dropped a dissertation here for us. Okay, in Samoan culture, there is a strong emphasis on maintaining a tough exterior and showing emotional resilience. How does this cultural value influence your approach to emotional expression and mental health in your parenting style?
oh, mental health. Um, the culture somehow, I think the way it reflects, I think it all depends on you and how you take it. If if you're going to, if you're going to be that person to go in and dive into every single thing that they ask you to do, the chiefs and all, then that's on you. You know, and if you want to be that person that's just like, no, I'm gonna do this and go my way to do it, then that's also up to you on how you do it. But you know, I don't know if I'm answering the question correctly, but I'm trying. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes I think it goes both ways, but it all depends on the person alone. As for me, as for me, um, I go, I do what I am able to do for the moment and in that time. So yes, that's how I
So,
see it.
Nyla, I have to
Yeah.
add to this, right? Sorry, Arlington, real quick. You had mentioned before we started the podcast that you had to bring out a certain amount of money for your mom's funeral for insurance, life insurance. And so I think that kind of helped you to be able to alleviate some of the stress, right? Do you think that's something that can be implemented in our culture is to push for life insurance?
Thank you so much for answering that question. I strongly feel that that's how it's supposed to be for every family in our culture. We should have that money. We should have those insurances available. And if you have living parents, do it. Do it. I'm telling you right now because when at the moment when I lost my mom, it was so hard. I mean, you're over here grieving at the same time, crying in tears. You can't think straight. You know, your mental status at that moment in Mukwa'i, I don't know. I don't know what to think and how to feel at that moment. You don't even want to. And then here you are going to a funeral home and they gave you all this lining of everything, the cost of everything, how much the casket will cost, how much, you know, the burial alone will cost, how much the funeral home will cost, and then all the other things from taking care of your loved one's body at that moment and at that time. It is hard. And my experience going in there and sitting in there and literally looking at numbers at that moment and at that time, I knew that my mom had insurance. But looking at the actual numbers in front of me, Lord and behold, I cried even more.
Mm.
You know, and then here I am at the same moment and the same time you're thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm coming here, I'm so heartbroken, and to come and look at these numbers again, and it's just adding the stress level up, right? Adding more stress to you. So you don't want to be in that kind of situation where you're going to come and you're going to be stuck with numbers and not knowing what to do, especially when you don't have insurance. You know, our I know that our culture, we always depend on all our families because that's how we roll, right? Everybody come in, bring in this, bring in that, bring in this, bring in that, and to help out pay up that bill. But in Samoa, I feel like if I go fear Samoa, because you don't have to pay for a land, right? You're only gonna have to work on paying for the casket. But here in America, the land alone to bury and everything else that goes onto on top of that casket and everything else below under that casket, it's all money. Money, 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 money. And I'm not talking about 1,000 only. No, you're talking about grands of money. Um, and then Kako Samoa, we can take them to a church. It's free for the service. Over here, no. Doesn't matter po firfasao nga ngayon ave iyay por fasa ke loku wai ma e kapua iyay. You still have to pay a little bit to it. And then you have the funeral homes that's available to you to do it. That's another cost added up to it. And you felt like, you know, all of that was just adding up, adding up, adding up. I am very thankful that my mom had insurance and everything on that funeral alone was covered. Her burial and everything else was covered with that, including um, some of the families that still came around and wanted to pitch in to help out with something. Like, I'll pay the coffin, or somebody that comes, oh, I'll do this, you know, to take off the load, because that's how us someone's are. But and I wanted to send this message out. It is very important and it's very good to have it. Have an insurance for your parents or whatever, your husband or your side chick or your kids or whatever. Just have the insurance. Have it in hand. My mom was very typical about doing life insurances. Because why? Because my mom was always the one, if you makamaka, ID channels, all those crime scenes about people, couples getting married and then end up getting killed for what? For the life insurance. But that's not the purpose. When I keep on telling her, it was so hard for me to tell her. Actually, her insurance was, I just created it and I signed off on it without her knowing because that was already in her mind that I'm going to kill her or something else is going to happen, because that's how, because of insurance and, the insurance money and all of that. But I am telling you guys right now, it's going to save you so much stress because now you're going to think about coming up with this amount of money for it and knowing all of us, we want the best for our loved ones. We want to make sure that when we do that last farewell that we're going to send them off in good. But the latest send off knowingly that there is help out there. And yes, there is help. There is help on getting your insurance. There is help looking out. Everything is on Google right now. Just Google out your life insurance and block those numbers in for your loved ones. It's going to save you so much hassle.
Uh,
Nyla, real quick. Sorry, Arlington, real quick. So for someone like myself, right, just I don't want to look at Google. What is a good insurance that anybody out there is trying to look up for themselves or for their parents?
So the insurance that my mom had was through Colonial Penn. And some of these insurance companies, they don't even have a medical checkup. Look, you don't need a 50 grand, 100 grand insurance. Okay? You don't need it. You don't need it. You can just do a 20 just to cover up the cost of the burial and however you want it to have the funeral. So far, we did a 20 on it, and that's all you need. You don't need, there's a lot of insurance companies like the Farmers and Estate Farms, and there's many other more insurance companies that are on there that are able to work that out with you. And a lot of them too don't require medical exams, because I think that's the other thing that most insurances are looking at is your medical conditions, So if you have cardio problems with your heart, then they don't want to, insurance, or they say, oh, we want to take you because they low insurance. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
But that shouldn't make you guys give up. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. My mom has so many conditions. Us Polynesian families, kokomawalunga, diabetes, we
Gout.
all have those, gout.
Okuleanga. Just kidding.
Okay, I'm gonna jump online real quick.
Stress
But
level,
so
stress level.
we got Semili. So I don't know if you know Semili. He's borderline
Nice to
Kaptimu
meet
Vailo.
you.
He says, "Hey guys, thanks for sharing." And then we also have Unbothered says, "Love you so much, Nyla." And then
Thank you.
before we go to the next question, there's one thing I disagree with you is Ilikongya. What's this side chick? Kuwalele nga nga fayela ko para vlogger.
Well, now you're laughing about it, so that's a good thing.
So that's the only area I agree.
Kalamang yang ang may I fa akay oko wa serious for kako. Yeah, I they say laughing. Yeah, yes. Hey guys, don't pay for the side chick. If it doesn't serve no purpose at all, don't be paying for the
Ele
side
claim
chick.
ma ko sa chick.
But what I take my order side chick back, get it in there now. I'm don't be claiming it now.
Okay, sorry. Well, let me get back to this next question. Do you feel that cultural expectations in the Samoan community influence how people give, possibly limiting their ability to give from the heart compared to a more individualistic approach seen in American culture?
Yes. Yes to that. Before I say something, speaking from myself, and I know also there's some of us that are feeling the same way as well. Yes, it does. American culture is so different because American culture, the way I see it, when it comes to funerals and stuff, yeah. Maisi faalawe lawe. Ole ale me la kul ke kusion me nga, straight from the heart. Samoan culture, I think the problem with our Samoan culture right now is that I feel like ko ale ai ase me foi la ele pe fi solo muri pe fi ko ilalo. We have too much pride in our culture. That's the problem. Too much pride. Yes, you can have the pride all you want, but you also have to make sure that your family, your family where you're at raising it up is also secure as well. You know, that's the thing that I see with our culture. It's just we have too much pride in our family that we don't even we don't even want to not be able to give accordingly to the amount that they're asking us to give because number one, they feel ma. You don't want to be one of those people that says, "Oh, I can't do it" or "I can't afford it." Or ke musune ke fa ko ila lo ingo o lo a inga lo le mafai nga fai a o le loko maleanganga. It's all there for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's where I come up with that line. Rather you can afford or don't afford to give to a falavelave, you give whatever you are able to that you're able to give because that's how much you have it from your heart, right? It's come from your heart. This is all I can do to give to this falavelave. Uh, um, we are not here trying to meet up on everybody else's expectations. You got to do yourself first.
Mm.
You got to do
Nyla.
yourself first.
Yeah.
Do your family first. Make sure your family and yourself is well enough, and then you can. That's my opinion.
No, that's what my mom always said, you know, "Fai mo molo a inga." So even though she understood the Fal of Love is, she wants you to meet the Fal of Love is, but it echoes what you've just said. How is your family, right? Mom always stood on those grounds. Fai ia mo ku lilo a inga. And then if you can, you know, continue to support the greater family. So no, very, very good point you brought up there.
Thank you.
Nyla, I'm going to shift gears into trying to understand why you had to cut off your social media, especially with Facebook. You only have TikTok. Can you tell us why?
Yes. It hasn't been a year yet. I think in June it will mark 1 year since my mom passed away. And I found Facebook as my tool of going up there and crying my lungs out when I lost my mom. And then I saw too many things coming on Facebook that I wasn't just very well satisfied with in trying to heal. There was a lot of people tearing one another person down, and it wasn't laughs for me. I was looking at a place of laugh instead of hate and angry and then crying. So I felt like that wasn't a room for me. So I left, and I think around that time too, because I lost my mom in June of last year. So it was getting near that time too. Email o paluka ya wakele yale ngawa male planning more other negative impact that was having instead of me finding growth in Facebook to have a little laugh from someone's statuses or whatever. I felt it was too much of the negative that it was just brewing me completely more than instead of finding it in a way for me to comfort me. So then then I went onto TikTok because TikTok had, I felt like the platform of TikTok was much more fun, that I can just come and post my videos and laugh a little and look at people how they do their exercises and laugh at people's jokes and their content of their videos. So that was more for me than more positive ways for me to, in order for me to move on to this healing process of mine, versus going on Facebook and you're seeing all these statuses and people tearing one another and, and so on. So, yes, I deactivated Facebook for that reason.
I could see that, going through your TikTok, that it seems like you find healing through your workout.
Yes, I do. I do. I do. um, to be honest with everybody, and I'm pretty much sure, our Polynesian community, we're known for obesity, right? And as a healthcare worker, I didn't want to, I hated the gym. Like when the word gym comes up into my mind, I'm all like, what is that? Right? What is that? Yes. And then I had a very special friend who trying to lead me through going to the gym. But I didn't start off like just going to the gym and then start hitting the gym and then go to the gym like right off. No, I started off with like walks of 3 miles, walk a day. Then I went and I did the yoga stuff. Yes, I will not say it because I don't want nobody to think that I'm racist, because I'm not. But although that's my funny side, if you know who I am, so I'm gonna stop. um, yeah, I started out with baby steps. And then I finally went in and I wrote myself in the gym. I felt like going to the gym and doing a workout to better myself. It's a good thing. So now it's like that's my only, now that I'm away from work, that's like my only to go place to go to release my energy and get my kids out. I kind of stopped when mom passed away because it was so hard to find a gym that I can go and be able to take my kids to. But now that I found a gym locally here where I'm at, I'm able to take my kids and put them in their little corner of kids club, and then I can go and enjoy my workout. And it's a stress reliever. So at the same time, I'm healing myself because we all heal in different ways. Some of us, we heal and then we're in a healing process, and then we look at food as our way of, of healing, right? That we call it stress eating. And then we have other people who heals, like, who finds other things to try and be active more to release the stress of the day. And at that moment and at that time, you're still trying to find time for yourself, your alone time, your self-care moment, just to be by yourself and do your workouts. It's been one hell of a journey at the gym, but that's up on you. If you have that urge to go do it, do it, do it. But because I have kids, I have to live longer for my kids. But that's how I feel. But it all depends on God, right? Because He knows, He's the one who tells me, okay, you're going to be here, and then now's your time to go. It's time to go, right? But that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to do better for myself, and at the same moment, trying to live longer for my kids.
Yeah, I like that you've covered a lot of those bases. It seems like the healing process is moving along well. You found happiness, but I think we spoke before offline. The main thing is to find that happiness, right? Because joy is one of those medicines that has amazing healing powers. So let me jump online real quick. There's a question that was posted here. I think it is great that you took time to protect your mind and find peace. Social media can be so toxic sometimes, and I admire your strength for stepping away. Do you think that break helped you see things differently about yourself or life in general?
Yes, it does. It helps me because, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I was one of those those social platform Facebook kind of person, like whoop, whoop, whoop. Like I can spend hours. I'm not gonna lie. I can spend hours even before my kids. It was just like an enjoyment for me to go on it, right? Off of it, yes. I've seen and I value life more, right? I get to see things from different aspect that I've never thought of, right? I get to spend finding other things from cooking, that there are things. So I'm saying that there are things out there that you can do instead of social media. Meaning I can go and take care of myself going to the gym more. I don't have to be sitting on my chair and going through and doing the swipe up and swipe down and be lazy all day, right? And then after that one is done, and then you just cry some more. I can find other things that I get to check on my families more now, you know, than what it was before. Even if it's just a phone call for 5 minutes or a phone call here and there or a quick text, I can do all of that versus just being on social media and ignoring everybody else that is trying to contact you or trying, or other things to do. So yes, I miss it? No, not at all. Not at all.
Nyla, I have to ask, and I'm not trying to judge or anything and thinking that I know what you're going through, but I kind of sense that there is more than just trying to heal from losing both your parents, especially your mom recently, cutting off Facebook. There's got to be a lot more. You being a single mother, pretty much. How are you dealing with that and having to go through trying to heal mentally at the same time?
Um, I, hmm, it's not easy. It's not easy being a single mom. My kid's father and I, we develop a very good relationship, meaning that as we going along through this process that we are in this moment, I think the main important thing that we've talked about was the upbringing of our kids. Our differences has to be lived in the back doors. I don't believe in that thing of broken marriages and then your kids are considered to be coming from those what's considered by most of us as broken homes. No, I don't feel that way at all. I feel strong that raising up your kids in rather from a distance or whatever is is all good depending if you and your spouse or whatever you want to call it um, is on the same page. Meaning you both are going to talk about, lay down plans and stuff that you're not to say anything bad about me in front of the kids. That's what I meant about you leave your differences behind the back doors and you focus on what's in the front of you, meaning your kids. Um, is it is it easy as I'm going through it? No, it's not. Um, because a resource that was there is no longer there, another extra hand to help out babysitting and that. But there is still hope there. Here in America versus American Samoa, you can just leave your kid with the neighbors and you can go, there's so many families there. And over here, we're very limited to the resources we have here. But that doesn't mean that that's the end of the tunnel. No, it's not. There's still many more other things here that you're able to do as a single mom or a single dad or a single side chick. It doesn't matter. You just have to be able to stand up for yourself and keep looking and have hope at all times. There's no such thing as giving up. There's so many resources here, and then there's also things that are able to help you out. So it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to tell you that, oh yeah, it's easy. I can just do that in 2.5 seconds. And no, it's you're going through it. It's a road. It takes time. Time may never heal too at the same time, but it will come.
Do you think that it has to do with differences in culture? Because I was told that he's a Tongan and you're Samoan. Do you think that has to do with the issue?
No. I don't think that that has anything to do with the issue. I think it's just two people with the same mindset, and that's all. That's all it matters. I mean, I've seen some parents going through the same line that I'm going through, and it's even worse. And I thank God that I'm not there at all yet, or not yet. But we are both strongly focusing on our kids at the moment. Before we even had kids, when we finally had our firstborn, I think one of the most important things that we wanted to bring out was for our kids to be happy at all times. Our job as parents is giving them everything in this life, but at the same time, we want to make sure that they're happy. So I think that that's where our line right now at the moment is to make sure that our kids are happy, you know, because that's important. We need them to stay happy, and especially with how things are in these days, you know, we have to make sure that we giving our kids all the happiness that we can, and as much as we can, spending the time with them, making sure that we give them not everything that they want, no, but somewhat.
No, I love how you kind of connected all of those. I want to get back to that here in a second. For those who just tuned in, if you're trying to figure out what this discussion is with the side chick, it was kind of a side joke that we had. So, yengi side chick will lavea I kalangwang iya fa maluluwak. We're not attacking any side chicks. Ia mga iya foyo ko I kalangwang fa love it. So, yeah. There's a comment here on the slide that says, shout out to all the side chicks out there. So, I just wanted to go back to what you just mentioned, but I think I just wanted to ask the question about what was the unexpected lesson your kids have taught you? Something that touches you dearly.
I think, well, it's not I think, I know. I have been with my mom for like 43 years of my life. All 43 years of my life. Yes, I was married and I still live under her roof. I was that child. I feel that if it wasn't for my kids, at this very moment in time when everything happened when everything happened to my mom, I think I wouldn't be here today. And I'm being honest. I think it's my kids that's giving me all this strength to carry on, and this courage to, this courage of hope that there's always going to be better days ahead than what it is right now at this moment. So now, this is why I said I'm going to be living for my kids, right? Because I'm pretty much sure if my mom was here right now, around somewhere over here, I would have known, because she would have knocked me right down in my forehead right now and said, this is not how I raised you, So, yeah, it's been a very good experience so far, and I'm thankful to have my kids. Because even if you have a whole wide world in your hands, meaning you have your families, your siblings, your BFFs, your besties,
Your side chicks.
your side chicks, you can still go down in no time, right? But as for me, my kids have been keeping me alive so far around here. So I'm not going to tell anybody else who's listening to this podcast that when it's your moment to ride those rough patches of the road and you feel like you're giving up, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Just because you don't have kids or you don't have a side chick or you don't have anybody else, but there's always going to be that one person somewhere around there that's going to be looking for you and wiping out for you. So don't do it. It's not worth the ride. Live happy. And I already know that this is how my mom wanted, was for me to live happy. So I'm going to live happy because this is what happens. When you're sad, you come up very ugly, right? When you're ugly, you're never considered a happy person because you're ugly inside because you have so much hate in you. Don't live by that. Life is happy. It's not the world we're living in right now. It's not a long lasting world that we're living. There's another world after life, but live with what you can right now and be happy about it with what you have right now, because then you live happy, you live a happy life and you enjoy every moment of it. You're going to be beautiful no matter how you look in person and all of that. So yes, I'm living happy. I'm living happy so that my kids can live happy. And I'm doing all of this self-care going on just to live longer for my kids. And for those who are on my team that's always wiping out and checking up on me. Yes, those are the ones that matters. All the other negative people, that's where we have that door called the EXIT. You exit all those toxic stuff that comes along the way. And it just carry those who are important and who are always going to be there for you no matter what.
You're it feels like you're an emotional speaker. So your message is heartfelt. And I see you online, you may be dropping tears online as well. And it just feels like if we could, we would give you a hug right now. But, I feel the love that you're giving out. So we'll give you an online brace, right? So here's your hug, so lots of love.
Nyla, real quick, you're talking about a lot of the negative that's come through social media and around your life. Have you had to walk away from people you love in order to protect your peace?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have to walk away from people that I always root on to keep my peace because mental illness is a very serious disease. It's not just something that's just like a piece of trash that just flies out on the wind and then catches you and then that's it. No, it's not. It's a disease. And meaning disease, it has to be treated by a medical profession, right? And those who are in the medical field that it's able to diagnose you and treat you. Yes. So that's the first part of routing out to that, self-care moment, is to eliminate the toxic people, eliminate those who are so negative that it doesn't serve you any purpose, that has no service in or a purpose in your life. Those are the ones you let go. And yes, I have. I'm going to be honest. I have. And yes, I took out social media too for that reason. I'm not a blocker and I'm not an unfriend type of person or an unfollow type of person. But yes, I have. And it's not bad, to be honest. You just have to find a way to find peace for yourself. And if your peace and your happiness is what matters the most right now at this point in time, even when you feel like you're at that end of that tunnel when there's no end at all, let it out. It's okay. It's not going to make you not be able to breathe the next day. But in order for you to breathe the next day, you're going to have to let those stuff go out of the way.
Very valuable information you put out. It's kind of similar to what we always preach in the military. In the military, we always say surround yourself with others who will make you succeed, right? So you want to emulate that progress. And in your case, is removing those toxic traits or those behaviors that are inconsistent of your healing. So very commend you for having that discipline. And it's hard. It's hard to cut out. Sometimes it can be the closest folks to you that you're trying to eliminate from your life. Yeah.
Very true.
So, Nyla, I have to ask about, the mental health part. Especially at our age, it takes so much before it starts to hit you, right? And it's like, damn, I never thought I'd be able to have to go through these challenges. Um, how much growth have you felt like you've come to where you realize, wow, I can't believe I am the way I am now that I should have been back then.
Um, I will say a little bit of both. I have growth in myself, meaning I'm finding with this new route that I'm going to and with the mental health issues and whatnot, and eliminating things that are being so negative and toxic around myself, I'm more happier. I come out more. I used to be that one type of person at moments where I'm just like everything by the book, you know, everything by the book. Although my crybaby doesn't stop emotionally for my mom, but I'm coming out from areas that I was hiding from, you know? And I think that that's the same way as everybody else is at moments. I'm feeling much more happier. Um, and no, I still have my sad moments too. There's moments, and it's okay to cry, you know, just like what Bluey says, it's okay to have a little cry, but the show must go on at all times. So I think it's a little bit of both. Yeah.
Good for you, Nyla. We've got some comments on the side that talks about from Julie. You're truly blessed, Nyla. Thank you for sharing, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And then Janet, I commend you for your patience and courage as you process everything one day at a time.
One day at a time. Just like what they say about the ice cream, right? One scoop a day.
Ooh, that's for us someone, it's like 5 scoops a day. What is your biggest fear as a mother, being that you have 2 kids? And you know what? Let me back up on this. How did you end up with 2 kids at the age that you are? That is crazy.
Oh, I have no idea. But you know what? This is what I believe in. Always on God's timing. I think with everything that's happening in my life, I think that God planned it very well for me. I had my kids very late. Yes, I am. I could be having kids right now, graduating, but no, that's not. I have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old. I got my 4-year-old, my firstborn at the age of 40. Yes, so you can just try and figure it out how old I am right now. And then I had my second one when I was 41. What do I want for them? That was the question. Yeah, so I want them to be happy. Am I happy to be a mom? I am very, very blessed to have this because I actually thought that I'm going to be one of those people who are going to be old and taking care of everybody else's child and not having one of my own. So having my kids is the most beautiful thing ever in this world. Um, It's a lot of running around to do at this age, but it's okay. But I'm enjoying every ride that I have along the way.
Good for you, Nyla. As a mother, what is your biggest fear?
Oh, my
As
biggest fear. Yes, my biggest fear is not being able to live longer for them. I'm already like at that point, before I had my kids, I was already calculating in my head, when Saya was still in my stomach, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to be 10 and I'm going to be 50. He's going to be 20 and I'm going to be in the 60s. That's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is not being able to live longer for them, to be there in the most memorable occasion or celebration in their life, not being able to be there for any issues or things that they're going through, and not being able to be there for them at all. That's like my biggest fear that I have right now. But we have to accept the fact that nobody in this world is going to live longer, right? But that's one of my biggest fears, not being able to be there for them at any time that they're going to need a mom the most.
So we got 2 comments online. From Fanga says, love you, Nyla. God bless you and your babies. And then from Promise is so beautifully said and very encouraging. So yeah, appreciate the information you're sharing. Yeah.
And Nyla, what does forgiveness mean to you? With all that's going on in your life, I know that you've already secured some of the things to help you mentally. I know one of the biggest things that we all learn to do is to forgive. So what does that mean to you?
Forgive. There you go. That's your route to going to happiness, right? You have to learn to forgive. Forgive. You will never forget, but you have to learn to forgive. If you have no forgiveness in your heart, you will never be able to live happy and be able to move on to the next step of life. So yes, I put away the toxic people one by one out of the way, even those who are so close to me, yes, but I forgive, right? I find forgiveness in myself to forgive those wholeheartedly no matter what. So that what? So that I can be able to move on to the next road ahead and the next step ahead so that I can be happy for myself. You don't have forgiveness in you, then more power to you. Some of us can hold grudges for a very long time, but that's where this mental health illness comes in, where you have to learn to forgive no matter what the problem is or no matter what it is, and you have to have that in you. You don't have forgiveness in you, you will never be able to move on to the next step of life. That's for me, and that's the way I've been brought up at all times. If I don't just say no, you can't do it like that either. You can't just forgive just because somebody else tells you to go forgive, or you feel like just to get it out of the way. No, you have to accept it in your heart to learn how to forgive somebody who does any damages to your life or whatever. You just have to learn it through you. You have to have it in you. You have to accept the fact. And this is one thing that I always tell people, if you're not honest with yourself, it's going to be really hard along the road to walk. Be honest to yourself, because if you're being honest to yourself and you love yourself the most, then you learn to forgive, and then you learn to live happier more. That's just part of life.
Wanted to ask, now that it seems like you have a different age group, like parents-wise, right? So the other parents are now, 10 years younger than you. Is there a generational gap, parenting challenges, or trying to relate to this other generation? Hey, like like the way you were raised, right? Like you have a certain mindset because of your age group, and then you get to this younger generation. Is there a different parenting skill that they bring at this age?
No, I don't think there is. I think I think it all depends on a person alone. Like for me, I can manage to flow with my kids at the age that they're at, putting my mind and myself in that kind of thing. It's just that it's what do you call the word? I feel like it all depends on a person alone. I'm not gonna say it, but I feel like there's no difference to me. That's for me. But because I feel like I can sit at any kind of like age group and blend in with whatever age that the kids are going to be in. That's how I feel. Maybe if I was like at 60 at this point, then yeah, I'll feel a lot different. But I'm not at that point yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Nyla, so I have to ask a question in regards to your younger self. What is it? What's the message that you would tell your younger self at her lowest?
It's okay to have a little cry. You pick yourself up, right? And the shows go on. That's actually from Bluey Line. And if you guys are cartoon people like how I am, because those are my kids' favorite show, yes, that's what I have instilled in my mind all the time. It's okay to have a little cry. Pick yourself up and the show must go on. Um, that's my reminder every day. You know, now with my kids, it's that saying, and then that reminds me, and it puts me to a situation where I'm like, okay, I got it. It's my kids. Even at my lowest moments of this lifetime now that I'm in, it's okay to have a little cry. Yes, that's continuously in my head, feeding my head all the time when the moments are very low where I feel like there's no more there. That's what I use um, daily. It's okay to have a little cry. You know, pick yourself up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, because the show must go on.
You know, I wish we knew what we know now about what we had to go through in our life, right? What
Yes.
would you tell your high school self before she started her life right after graduation?
Oh, what would I tell myself before I don't know what would I tell myself back then. It was so hard because you're still in high school and you before we graduated and stuff like that. We never thought of these kind of things. Who would have thought that we would have gone through this kind of we I never thought of it. I never thought of, these kind of roads that we're going to be taking. Now we finally in this kind of shoes at this moment in this time. Now we know how our parents really felt. Right? But I don't know what I would tell myself back then. You know, um, I don't know. I don't know what I would have told myself back then, but I think I'm one of those people that I plan as I go,
Mhm.
one day by day, and that's just the way it is.
And Nyla, with your mom and dad passing, I know there's a lot of things that they wanted you guys to remember them by. What is something that you would always want your kids to remember your mother and your father by?
Um, their hard work, their never-ending stories of. I think one thing that I will always reminded my kids of how much my dad valued my mom at all times, even no matter how good he was or whatever how he was. He had so much love for my mom. Meaning this man would actually open the door for my mom to go in. Like right now these days, it's hard to find men like that. Shoot, even a side chick won't open up my. I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? As for my mom, one thing that I want my kids to know is that, and I will always remind my kids about my mom was always that high five that my mom does. So, every time when I accomplish a goal or a mission or completed a task, my mom would always say, Miss Kalima, you know, Miss Kalima. That's like, to me, if I get that high five, I'll be like, yes, I've done something good. I made her happy. I made her smile for the day. Um, and many other things more besides, their hard work that got us to where we are at this very moment. And remember that my mom was in a career and in a kind of field to help others, right? Take care of others. And at the same time, trying to take care of her family and raise her kids.
Nyla, I have to ask this question, and I think we kind of touched on it during our uh, offline discussion. What is Nyla's priority number one as a leader of her family, as the Makai? What is your priority number one for your family?
I think my priority number one as a Matai is to make sure that my Ainga Faitele are well taken care of instead of the needs of the culture. Making sure that their families are very well taken care of before giving that money in for other fa'alawilawas and the many other things that comes along the way. To make sure that we are just not here to help out, but knowingly that whatever we contributed in is from our hearts, and that our families too, that we are taking care of our own families, are our number one priorities. That's going to be my priority for my Ainga Faitele and as a Matai, is to make sure that their families are well taken care of before um, the big families come in and the other fa'alawilawas come in as well.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm really looking forward to your journey, especially from a Matai standpoint, a female Matai. So, yeah. There's so few in our culture, but just listening to you and the way you hold yourself and the thought process that you have, there's a lot of value that you can bring to our culture. So, yeah, I admire
Thanks.
your leadership there.
I have to ask real quick, Nyla, what is your Matai title? What is your Matai name?
My Matai title name is Fofogaleasina. That's from my Satofanga and my Muamuti, a family of Asu in American Samoa. So if you guys go up to the most beautiful village up in the mountain, that's the only place in American Samoa you will feel the breeze and feel like you're living in America. Up on the mountain. So one side is Aloha, and then onto your right side is Asu.
Is that Asufo or Asupoi?
Asufo, Asupuai, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we are now up on the new Asu, so Asufo, yeah.
Okay, so when you get a chance, whenever you get back to TikTok, I did release one of my Asu massacre stories today. So for anyone listening,
Oh, nice! I'm gonna
so
need to look at that.
there you go. Yeah, feel free to go and criticize me for not knowing anything about your village, but that's my
It's
2 cents
okay.
of
It's
my
okay.
research.
Remember. We are here to watch and not judge.
Yes.
Unless you're a side chick, then we judge.
On the side.
That's why they're known as the side, right?
Oh, we have a question, a good question. What are your challenges as a female Matai?
What are my challenges? I don't think I have any challenges right now at the moment. I feel like I don't have any. I think I've been behind the Matais that are men, that I feel like so overprotected by them, that I don't think I have any challenges right now at the moment for it. I think my main challenge and my main focus right now is for my kids, and so far for that, when the culture comes in, it is what it is. It comes in, and I just roll as I go.
Nyla, how did the decision come about to have, because most of the time when people think Matai goes towards the male. How did that come about to where they decided to give the title to you as a female?
My family has a few female Matais in it. I think as because of the way that I've always been there for my family, like we all know that common word called the tautua. I think being there for my family during family obligations of funerals and falawilawas and you name it, yes, I was mostly present for all of them, but not. So I felt like that's where that came in, that's when it was brought up to my attention that it's time. And because I've seen all the hard work that my ancestors went through, and being those kind of people that are always there for the big families for stuff like that. And I think that's why I took the challenge. But do I have any regrets? Not really. I'm just, I'm still new at it. I think 2019 so far is only a couple of years, but I learn the process as I go, and I just go. Whatever comes the way, then that's how it is.
No, we carry the same style of leadership. I'm on the same journey as you. Learn as I go along.
Learn as you go along. That's right.
I challenge this thing. For some way, we always hear, but if you were to wait and wait until you understood Samoa to its fullest, you will never understand Samoa to its fullest, and you'll never take that opportunity as you're in right now. If you wait and wait, that day will never come. You will never learn all of it.
So that's when it comes into that kind of that vision that some of us have. Sometimes we just have to twist things around and turn it in order for you to get your feet in there so that you will know and taste how things really are. Meaning, aka ko whakakali ia e mo ka koe ngō makai. Ia, ka kere loa mea wha makai e whai. Ka kere loa le lewe a kua kuanga o le anguu i le kaukala kuma savali. Ka longa ua e pai iai. It's the same thing as how we look at people, the girls these days. Yeah, mangai ka malalo fo e ku pau ka lea. Yeah, ile malu ma le pea me ya ka momolo ku. But how would they know? Some people, they just need to get in there in order for them to feel it and know it more. I feel like ale ku ua ko se ko finga ya ki oi. Po se any kind of thing to you, you will never be able to know and research more about it until you get there, because you're already now in your head, you're like, okay, now I'm going to have to do this because this is, I have to learn it because this is how it is. It's done. So that's how I feel.
No, you're exactly correct. And that's why they say, it's the courage. And then in Fasamo, we say kula imasiko, and that's what you are, right? That bravery to step up. We're not fully equipped yet. We know there's a lot of studying we have to do, but you took the challenge where other people will shy away. Thank you to Fui Fui for answering the question we said earlier. Yes, asufo tene saumalu. So thank you guys for chiming in and keeping us straight on our end.
Well, we are ending our podcast for tonight. And before we close, I know that this is the month where we talked about, our Savior Jesus Christ, as we come through the resurrection. Nyla, is there a tradition that you normally do with your family?
Oh, we usually do. And yes, we do a little gathering with, when mom was alive, we always have a Sunday brunch. Sunday was our day. Sunday was the day that if my work asked me, can you pull another 4 more hours of work? And that's when Nyla finally says no, because today is Sunday and it's my Sunday brunch with my mom. Yes, we're going to have probably a little get together and a little tuana'i, but it all depends. Yeah, but yes, and I'm pretty much sure that most families are have those, go to church, and then after the church is kids egg hunt, followed by a little get together of a Sunday brunch and whatnot.
Thank you, Nyla. And Arlington, I know that there's a tradition you have with your family. Would you like to share?
Yeah, Mako side Ilisa Chikile Easter. No, just kidding. It's the same thing. My kids are grown, unlike Nyla, her kids are young, so my kids already long been gone from that phase. So yeah, Yarko Yamele, so Famangwiak for Easter Yaudua and everyone else that is listening. Famangwiakule Asosai Seka.
Well, thank you guys so much, Nyla. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate your journey that you shared with us, and we look forward to many more hearing about your story as we continue to get to know you more on the side. And Arlington, this is the first, and there's many more to come. So we really appreciate you as well.
Thank you.
To all of you out there, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting Nyla at the same time, and also sharing your questions. And we really appreciate you all as we enjoy this Sabbath day that's coming up for many of you. And for me in Arlington, it's already Sunday. Happy Sabbath and enjoy your holiday and Easter, and God bless you all, and to God be all the glory. Have a good night, everyone. Nyla, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nyla.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.